Okay, which one are we playing this week then?
So I thought this week we'd play one of the most important, influential and iconic video games ever made. So we're going to play Space Invaders for the Atari 2600. So this is obviously an arcade game, one of the most popular and important arcade games, released in 1978, and it was ported to the Atari 2600 in 1980, and it actually became a real system seller for it as well. It was sort of a killer app at the time. So have you got any experience with the game at all?
Just a tiny tad, yeah. I've only played it millions of times.
Do you want to get to...
Let's go for it.
Right, so do I really need to explain Space Invaders?
I think you might. I don't think people will know what you're playing here, really, or how you play the game.
It's very complicated stuff.
Oh, timed.
So we're just going to play the game for points. Obviously, there's no ending to it. But me and Chris, obviously, we usually try and complete games, don't we? But
Yeah.
this meant that effectively we weren't getting to play any of the old classics because obviously they don't have endings. So I thought we'd just sort of we'd go against our own rules for a little while, just so that we can play some of the really important games, you know. Otherwise, we'd just get very few Atari 2600 games on the channel, wouldn't we? You know.
Yep. Also, it's nothing like a little bit of competition, is there, Rich?
Oh, we're trying to play this competitively. Trust you. Who's the expert?
I don't know, probably everyone on the planet.
Apparently, originally this game actually had you shooting at humans, but I think Taito said that they would rather it would be you know, something else. They're sort of like sea creatures, really, aren't they? I mean, obviously they're supposed to be aliens, but oh wow,
You suck.
they were super close to the bottom.
2880.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I was saying, originally they had humans in there, but Taito asked the developer to if he could change it to something else. So he came up with the idea of sort of obviously space aliens. You know, I think Star Wars was big at the time in America, so they decided to put sort of space aliens in there. And he sort of based the designs on sea creatures. If you look, they're sort of like crustaceans and octopuses and squids in some ways. A lot of them, you know.
Octopi,
I mean, that sort of looks sort of like a jellyfish as well, doesn't
Indeed.
it? Some of them. But they're quite an iconic design, really. I mean, they haven't got a lot to go with because the resolution's so low, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're quite iconic anyway, even though they're, you know, so few pixels in them. Oh, you're in trouble there, mate.
What? Hold on. I thought I had another row to come down. I seriously thought I had another row. That's why I was... Yeah.
600's not bad.
Fuck off.
So the game was created by a guy called Nishikado, and he had a history of making sort of mechanical arcade games prior to this, and he actually did virtually everything on it. He even designed the hardware for the arcade cabinet, so he did basically everything on his own, and I think the game took him a year to make as well, so he was creating it for an entire year before it was released. The main influence for the game was Breakout, so he wanted to make a sort of more dynamic game than Breakout with shooting gameplay and such.
Fuck. That's 600 again, eh?
You keep having a 7-10 split, or whatever it would be called in
I was
Space
trying to
Invaders.
do a long, but then I was knocking things out of the back.
Did you ever play the DS Space Invaders? There was like a sort of disco Space Invaders. Do you remember?
I
It's like
remember
a dance
that.
music sort of Space Invaders.
What was that on, though?
I think it was on the DS. I don't know if you had it, but I know I used to play it. And you got like a giant laser beam, didn't you? That just destroyed everything.
Okay, I'm okay, I'm alright.
That was great, actually. Yeah.
Gotcha. Stop shooting down the line, Jesus. Oh my god.
Yeah, so obviously this game was absolutely humongous when it originally came out. One of the most, it was a footnote in the history of video gaming, really, because this was when video games really started to become more popular and enter the public consciousness. Shigeru Miyamoto actually said that this game was the main reason why he entered the gaming industry, and without it he may never have bothered, you know. But the story goes actually that in Japan they ran out of 100 yen coins after this game came out because everybody was just pumping these coins into this machine. You know, you'd have arcade parlours that were nothing but Space Invaders machines, you know. So big was it at the time.
Do
Should we go for 2 players then?
Now
and
this
call
has
it a day?
done. Yeah, let's do it. Does the shields move as well?
Yeah, you can change. You can select a load of different options for where it starts and such.
That's pretty
Right,
cool.
you ready then?
I am now, yes. Okay, let's go, Rich.
Oh, I'm on the. I was looking at the right hand side one for some reason.
I see what you did there, you scumbag. Come over my side as well, you bitch. Fuck off. They're mine. Oi!
I was helping you out.
Help me out.
Nice one. We completely demolished them.
Yeah, we did.
Got me. Point blank range.
You got me! You got me too.
We share lives as well in this, so.
That sucks.
Well, they're firing too much.
You
now,
took all
aren't
our lives, Rich!
they? Ah,
Oh.
I think that their firing rate was just too high there. Do you want another go, or are we calling it
My
quits?
thumb is actually aching like shit. Okay, Rich, stupid question, but what did you think of the game?
Well, this is obviously a classic, isn't it? It is like one of the most important games ever made. And I was just, you know, you can kind of be struck by just how much design they get into such a small amount of pixels. You know, like I said, the enemies are quite iconic in their own little way, aren't they? But they're using so few pixels to sort of give them personality. But I mean, one of the first shooting games ever made. It's an exciting game. You know, it's got precision. You've got to make sure that each bullet counts. So you've got to shoot the aliens perfectly. It speeds up, and there's some level of excitement for the time as well as the enemies get faster and faster, and the sound is sort of like and it just sort of speeds up, doesn't it? It becomes more and more tense as the enemies get closer to the floor. So, what do you think of it then?
It's just the all-time great, isn't it? It's what you think of when you think of video games.
Yeah.
Especially retro video games. It just opens the door to so much more. It's a key holder. It really is. Gameplay's super fun. It wrenches up the action when it comes lower and lower and lower. You think to yourself, I've got to land this shot. If I don't land this shot, that's it. So much fun. Such a classic.
It is an addictive game, I think. It is still fun, even now, really, to just put on for a while. It's accessible as well. You know, it's a game that's easy to understand and easy to play. But
I could bring my 4-year-old here and she'd play it and she'd understand it within minutes. It's really not difficult.
But even then, you know, the more you play it, the better you get at it. It's not like you can pick it up and just sort of, you know, zoom through the game or anything, or get those high scores. It's easy to see how people could become obsessed with, you know, getting record-breaking scores and such in the game.
So, Rich, what are you going to score it then?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I have to give the game a full 5 out of 5 because it is one of the most important games. This, not only in the arcade, but this Atari 2600 game was one of the absolute most important releases for this as well. You know, so it's very important for the home gaming market as well as the arcade market. You know, just as important really. So, what are you going to score it then?
It's got to be a 5, hasn't it? It really does. This sold so many Atari 2600s off its back. It made the home gaming scene. It's 100% a living legend, and it will be long remembered far into the future. Okay, guys, that's Space Invaders this week. Possibly the most classic game we've ever played on the channel.
I think that's safe to say. Yeah, I'd go along with that.
Definitely. So, guys, give us a comment. Tell us what you think. Like the video. And subscribe to the channel. We're always releasing great content like this. So we'll see you next week with another game. Take care, guys.
See ya.